Okay, guys, welcome back to another episode of the Millennial Business Podcast. I'm so excited to be joined today by the amazing lady that I have met on Instagram, Jenna. She is someone who I resonate with her content so much because it's business, but it's also woo. And I love that you guys have heard me talk a little bit about how I'm getting into spirituality this year, and I'm diving deeper and exploring a little bit more. So Jenna, thank you so much for joining me on the podcast today.
Hi, Taylor. I'm so excited, ready to dive in on all the things. Let's do it.
Can't wait. Cool. Well, just to begin with, what did it look like for you in terms of like starting to improve your money mindset and starting to focus more on building wealth in your business and stuff like that? Like, what did it actually look for you on sort of a day-to-day basis?
Yeah, it was definitely like similar to what you're doing now, just like kind of going all in. And that's why when I work with clients, I'm like, it really is an all-in commitment, because this is work that you'll likely do for the rest of your life, but it gets to be more fun and more expansive as you continue to grow, right? But for me, in like a daily practical basis at the start, well, firstly, I didn't even know what money mindset meant. Like I had to Google the term. I was like, what is money mindset? That's how like vague it was to me.
Yeah.
But it looked like for me, starting with my money story, which is where I always get everyone to start. It's like, what was my conditioning and my programming around money growing up? What was my parents' beliefs around money? What did I witness and hear and see in our household? What were my experiences? But more than that, like what was I taught around my worth? What did I go through in childhood? Because a lot of our conditioning is formed like really early years, like ages 1 to 7 or 8 is when kids are just like little sponges and we're just absorbing everything, right? And you form all these false beliefs and these limiting beliefs that are just simply not true. So yeah, for me, it looked like a daily practice. It looked like, okay, being conscious and super aware of like, if a limiting belief popped in, being like, hold on a second, like, do I want to allow this to control my life and manifest into my reality anymore? Or do I want to look at it and like dive into the shadow and actually understand where it's coming from so I can heal it? So it was really just a commitment to do that. And so many tools, which I'm sure I can share like as we go through that I used, but and some of them you mentioned like tapping and meditation, really powerful, and I still use those today. But it was just a commitment really to say, okay, every day I'm going to wake up and I'm going to be conscious of what I'm allowing into, I call it your queen temple, like what am I allowing in my temple up here, and in my body as well, because our beliefs go into our body as well. So a lot of work I do is about embodying new beliefs and your new vision and your new desires so that you can actually become that version of you. So yeah, it was really the daily commitment. It's all about that, being consistent.
Yeah, I love that. Especially that I've just recently attended Tony Robbins' Unleash the Power Within. And it was a virtual version of the event, but still super, super transformational in terms of him getting you to realize what your current deepest limiting beliefs are. And I've done a lot of work on my limiting beliefs over the past couple of years, because when I first started in the personal development world, I wrote down what I felt like all of my limiting beliefs were, and I had 3 whole pages of limiting beliefs. So I had a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
But when I was at the Tony Robbins virtual Unleash the Power Within, he really got you to like dive deep into where these limiting beliefs come from. And a lot of them, like you were talking about, stem from your family. So I have an underlying limiting belief that my family won't love me if I make a lot of money, because for my whole life, my parents have both spoken about how evil people who have a lot of money are, and how they're bad people and they do bad things to the world, and no, we don't want to be like those bad people. And so now I have this belief that if I make a lot of money, my family's not going to love me because they're going to think that I'm evil. And I only came to this realization like 2 weeks ago. Before that, I thought my money mindset was just because I didn't think I was worthy of it. But then I realized, oh my God, it's actually been programmed into my brain since I was a child that people with a lot of money are evil. And so I was just like mind blown by like, you just don't even realize, right? Like you don't know what your parents say to you when you're little, how much it affects you when you're an adult. It's crazy.
Absolutely. And like, it's so interesting because we think that a lot of it boils down to not feeling worthy, but actually there's all these other elements of it. Like you said, like that's almost like the fear of being abandoned, right? And that's such a deep, like instinctual
Mhm.
human fear to be abandoned.
Yeah.
Particularly like way back in like early human cultures, like you were in your tribe and that was how you were safe, right?
Yeah.
So it goes so deep. And a
Mhm.
lot of what I teach women on as well, it's like looking at your ancestral lineage as well, looking at like
Oh, wow.
past generations, like go to your grandparents, your great grandparents, even if you didn't know them or haven't heard much about them or not connected to them, you can drop into meditation and like connect with your ancestors,
Mm.
heal like the bloodline as well. That's like even deeper.
Yeah.
And I know like you're like at the beginning of discovering it, and it starts with your parents or your parental figures, but then like you can keep going and keep going. So it's really powerful.
Mm.
But like as you said as well, you know, that fear of being abandoned, it's really that, like, what I always say is we're not going to manifest something if we don't think it's safe,
Yeah.
or if like on the other side of that we think we can't maintain it or it means something negative. So if we ask yourself, like, if I received suddenly like a $10,000 a month for someone listening, that's what they're aiming towards, like why wouldn't you want it? Like, why wouldn't you want it? And when you ask yourself that question, you realize like, oh, because I think my parents won't accept me, or I think I'm going to be busier, and or whatever it might be coming through.
Yeah.
So that's a really powerful question you can ask yourself.
Yeah, I find it funny because I always sort of refrain from talking about how much money I earn with my business, with my family, because I'm worried that they will judge me, or they'll think, oh, I don't know. I just like, I think I definitely still have to do a lot of work on my limiting beliefs around my family and money, because
Yeah.
I know that they're going to love me no matter what. Like, they're my
Mhm.
family. They're not going to abandon me if I suddenly start making a lot of money. But it's just like this underlying fear that I have, like you said, the fear of abandonment, which
Mhm.
potentially could stem back generations. I'm super interested to, can we go a little bit into, like you said, it can go back further generations and you can meditate and start to figure out, like, if you don't know
Mhm.
your past generations, you can meditate and sort of drop into that. Could
Mhm.
you explain a little bit more about that? Because I'm super interested in that sort of stuff, or past life regressions, or all of
Mhm.
that stuff. And I don't think it's a topic that we've spoken about on the podcast before. So I'd love for you to
Yeah.
share a little bit and just teach us a little bit about, I guess, what it is and how you can start to tap into those sorts of things.
Yeah. Well, it's something that I've worked with for many years, but only now am I starting to teach on a little bit more, because I wanted to be able to really embody what I teach before I pass it on. There's a few different ways you can do it. You can do your own self meditation and just ask your ancestors to come forward. And what I like to do is either focus on like the female line first and then the male line in a separate meditation. So you bring in all the women from your ancestry and from past generations,
Mm.
and you can, and then with the men as well. And so really it's just about setting the intention, like, I'm here to connect, I come with love and respect, and I would love to like break some of these cycles, and just allow yourself to hear what they have to say, because often it's like they don't want you to continue that cycle. Like,
Yeah.
they've learned, now they've like moved on, right? They've learned that what their limiting beliefs and their fears weren't true, so they don't want our generations to continue it. And you can say like, the cycle ends with me, like this generational pattern ends with me. And that can be something that you just say as a mantra each day as well. And then of course there's things like past life regressions, which is like with someone trained to take you through that. I do a lot of hypnosis with my clients, but that can also be something where you connect with your ancestors. And at the moment I'm creating some of those for some of my programs, some ancestral healing and meditation. So it's really about like knowing that you can actually connect if that's something
Yeah.
that you desire to do,
Mm.
and to do it in a way that you are guided to, like whether that's in meditation or journaling to them, allowing them to come into your dreams with messages, whatever it is, whatever you feel open to. But it is really powerful, because you'll notice that they don't want you to continue the cycle. Like we think that we're stuck with this cycle and that's the way our family is, or that's the way
Mm.
life is, but it's not. And it's really empowering to say, this ends with me.
I love that. Yeah, it's funny because I bought a new pack of cards recently, like oracle cards, and I'm constantly getting cards that say, these limiting beliefs end with you. You're the person that, and you're the person that is going to break the pattern for us, and all of this stuff. So
There you go.
very interesting. I maybe need to do some diving deeper into my
Yeah.
ancestors and all that
Yeah,
sort of
that
stuff.
might be them trying to connect with you.
Yeah, maybe. I
Yeah.
love it. I love it. Cool. So for someone who isn't really into this sort of stuff, like isn't into the woo, but they have their business, they're feeling stuck, like they don't know how to get to the next level. They don't know why they can't seem to break through that sort of next income barrier. Maybe they're open to a little bit of manifestation or introducing something like this. What would be the best starting point for them in terms of maybe trying to manifest more money, or looking at how they can start to break some of these old patterns? Or what would be a good starting point for someone?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many different places, but really, I want to bring it back to that question I said before, like asking yourself, why would I not want more money? Or like thinking about your next level money goal, holding it in your heart, and then just saying, why would I not want this? Like, what do I think this also, it comes with like a side salad of stuff that you don't want, you know? It's like, what is it going to come with? And it's usually some sort of fear of what might happen. So like we were saying, judgment from parents, or that you won't be able to maintain it, or that you'll suddenly be super busy and burnt out, right? So that was one of my big ones that I've had to work through, is like that I don't have to work harder for more money, and that fear that that would happen. So just once you're aware of what you are afraid of on the other side of that, then you can start to say, well, where does this come from? Does this feel true for me? And is this something that I want to create in? And then of course you start to do the process of like releasing and healing that limiting belief. There's so many different ways you can do that, but some of the tools like you shared, like EFT tapping, meditation, even just deciding like, I'm done with this. And then what is the new belief that I want to choose? It gets to be that simple sometimes, just deciding you're done and then deciding the new belief that you want to call in. So that's like a little bit of a framework to start with. And then in terms of like manifesting money and stepping into it, it's just about saying, well, if I were already making that, if let's use a 10K month as an example, because that's quite common in our industry. If I were already receiving 10K months, $10,000 months, what would I be spending my time doing? What would be my daily non-negotiable actions? What would I not spend time doing? Like, what would I stop wasting time on? Because I think in business, a lot of the time, particularly in that growth phase, we get pulled off track so much and we think that we have to do so many things, but really business is quite simple when we boil it down, when we actually look at the things that move us forward. And for me, it's always coming back to like my inner work and my mindset first, like feeling really confident and empowered, and then showing up and giving massive value and content, and selling at the same time, inviting people to work with me. If I keep doing that, those three things, I'm always moving forward. So I think it's about like starting to embody that version of you who receives that amount of money, and then saying like, what are they no longer available to do, and what are they stepping into and actioning, even if they have fear, even if they don't feel ready, but deciding to do the mindset work to feel like you are able to move forward, and then taking the action.
I love that. I've recently created a 3.0 version of myself that she's like this boss ass CEO that's making heaps of money and absolutely killing it, and she only focuses on content creation and like sales and team building, like business strategy, all that sort of stuff, like the things that move the needle forward for the business. And every day I have it in front of me on my desk, and every day I sit down and I look at it. I'm like, okay, how can I be Taylor 3.0 today?
I love that.
So I think that, I guess, guys, if you're listening and you want to do something along these lines, you could definitely sit down and write out a 2.0 or a 3.0 version of yourself that you want to step into every day, and figuring out the things that, Jenna, what are the best things for you actually that what are the best things that you would suggest for people who want to be hitting the 10K months? What should they be focusing on? Sales is obviously going to be one of them, but what do you coach other people that they really need to be focusing on?
Yeah, well, it always starts with the inner work for me. Like with everyone I work with, I know that 80-90% of our success is coming from our mindset, our energy, our identity. So doing the mindset work that we've been discussing, like clearing those limiting beliefs, deciding your new beliefs, anchoring them in, embodying that version of you, that's always first thing. And that's like why I'm super passionate about morning rituals and practices, and setting your day up with that as the foundational piece, because then I kind of see it like dominoes, right? Like that then impacts the next thing, which is like, okay, well, if I'm already this person and this is what I'm deciding, what would I immediately action? Like do the thing that scares you the most first thing in the morning. Do your big project work first thing in the morning. No social media or emails until that's done, until you've added value and content. So I would say like the next thing from there is really content and sales together. Like the two of those kind of blend for me, because everything that I create typically has a call to action. Like I rarely would post something without a call to action of some sort. So you get to like just blend it all together, but it's adding value. Like how can you contribute and give first, and then the selling is the receiving. So I like to think of it as like really circulating powerful energy. Like you're giving to your community, you're adding value, tips, advice, guidance, and then you're having a call to action, inviting them to transform with you further with like your program or your product or whatever it looks like. So really it's like the inner work, content, sales.
Yeah.
And then as you said, like team building and high level vision. So I love to do like every Friday is my CEO day. And that's a day where I don't do meetings. And I just love to like kind of take a step back. I usually go down to the beach or like do something to shift my environment and work on the high level vision and growth of the business. But yeah, those daily like actions are so important, because as you said, it's like what moves the needle forward. It's usually not that complicated. It's just that we get distracted by other things. So
yeah. Interestingly, my business part, I have a couple of businesses, and a digital marketing agency is one of them. And she said to me, I'm also trying to grow my personal brand. And she said to me this week, for in terms of my personal brand, she was like, you're focusing too much on the things that aren't generating the revenue for you. And I was like, yes, I am, because I'm focusing so much on creating content and putting all this stuff out, but don't necessarily have a way to monetize that yet. And it's going to be different because I'm releasing an online course this coming week, but yeah, up until this point, I haven't really had a way to monetize that. And she said, once you release your online course, you need to make sure that you shift your mindset to actually be focusing on the things that are generating the most revenue for you. So outreach to and building relationships with new potential clients, or trying to get on sales calls, whatever it is, but doing the things that actually generate revenue for you, which it was funny to have someone sort of pull me up and say, hey, I've noticed that you're actually not doing this. Even though you're saying you're trying to grow this brand, you're not doing the things that are bringing in money. You're doing the things that are just building the brand, which is sort of the opposite as to what I should be doing. So it was very interesting. It was just funny having someone sort of pull me up on that, saying, yeah, exactly. Highlighting that I guess I'm not focusing on what I should be focusing on. So yeah, guys, if you're listening, like definitely always be focusing on providing value to your audience, building relationships with your audience, because that's how you're going to get sales. You're not going to be able to just send a person one message and say, hey, do you want to do coaching with me? Or hey, do you want to sign up for my agency? Or hey, do you want to do this or do that? And they'll be like, yeah, sure. That's not how it works. You have to build a relationship with people. You have to get to know them. Is that something that you found, like for your audience, when you were transitioning from health coaching to business coaching and manifestation and all of the amazing things that you're working on now, was there a sort of a transition where you felt a little bit unsure talking to people about what you were currently working on? Or were you just like, nah, I'm doing this now, let's go, like ready to go?
Well, it was kind of a bit of a combination. Like I was very determined and just set up my new business. It used to be called Abundant Boss. So it was under that name for a while. And I was just like, I'm doing it. And again, I told my now husband, I was like, I'm doing this. He's like, what? I tend to do that. Like I'll make a decision and then it's done the next day. And people in my life are like, what? Like I kind of work quite quickly once I get the idea. I'm like, it's happening. So I did that, but then I still was having to kind of build my confidence and self-worth around owning it, because it was like a totally different trajectory to what I had done before. So yeah, there was definitely a period of like, okay, no, I'm an expert in this field, and starting to get testimonials from clients and build all of that. I think if like someone listening is in that space, it's just about staying the course and continuing to do the inner work to know that you are valuable and your gifts are worthy and of high service to the world, and continue to tap into like the transformation you're really making in someone's life. That's why I love selling, and I love telling, like other women have a lot of fear around selling that I work with sometimes. And I love to teach them that like selling is a beautiful thing. It's an act of service, because you're allowing someone who's been engaging with your free, amazing content, like you're creating at the moment, Taylor. And then you're saying, hey, I've got my new course out. Let's go the next level. Like, let's actually change where you're at. Like you can get so far with my free content. I want to like hold your hand and dive deeper with you. So yeah, I mean, I went off track there, but it's really about like fully embodying that you are creating such an important transformation in someone's life. And I love to think of it like you're not just working with someone, say, in a 2-week course or 4 months coaching or whatever it looks like. That has created a pivot in their life, and that's going to impact them a year down the track, 5 years down the track, 10 years down the track. It might be passed on to their kids, future kids. Like think about the bigger picture. Yeah. And that's when people start to go, yeah, my work is really valuable. And that's when you can start to own it more. And I think when you start to own it, that's when you see a shift as well in attracting people in.
Yeah. What are do you have any like strategies that you get if you have clients that they're feeling icky about sales, they don't want to get on sales calls, or they don't want to have really sort of strong call to actions in their social media content? Like what are some steps that you get them to go through to start to change that mindset? Because I know there are a lot of people out there who struggle with selling.
Yeah, I know, it's a big one. I have a course called Spiritual Selling Queen for a reason, because I wanted to help spiritual minded women like feel confident with it. Mirror work is really powerful. So this is one of my favorite tools, like standing in front of the mirror. And this is great if you're like raising your prices, or you want to like maybe master sales calls and feel more authentic and like in your integrity. So you just literally stand in front of the mirror and speak like you would to a client. And it's not about having a pitch or like anything like that. It's just about like speaking from the heart and actually watching your body language, like watch the way that you express yourself, how you hold your posture, all of that. And just do that every day until you feel like, yeah, I've got this. Like I'm feeling really confident in how I'm expressing this. And then from there, it's like the work that I was just saying, like dive into the legacy and the transformation that you have in your client's life. I do this with my clients. I get them to go into like a hypnosis or a meditation to tap into that 10-year impact that they're making in someone's life, so that you're so deeply connected to the value of your work that there's no choice but to show up and invite people to work with you. It's like, I can't hide this from people. They need this, and I want to be of service. And I think that's a really important thing as well, as seeing selling as being of service. It's not like trying to get. If you're giving enough value and you're really contributing, it's then the receiving aspect, but you're also giving back to them by selling, right? You're inviting them to transform, to transport, to change their life. And that's really powerful. So it's just about that process of owning the deeper work and the why behind what you're doing.
I love that. I love the whole concept of thinking about how it's going to transform their life up to 10 years time, because it's so true, right? Especially like in the coaching industry, or even like in the digital marketing industry, which I know a lot of people listening are in. If you help someone change their mindset, or if you help someone build their business, you are giving them an extra bit of freedom in their life that they didn't necessarily have before, whether that's mental freedom or financial freedom. You are helping them, you're showing up and you're serving them so that they can live a better life. And that is so amazing. Like it blows my mind, and it makes me so excited like that I am launching my online course this week, because I know for sure that this is going to change people's lives. Like the people that take it, I'm just like so excited for them to take it, because I know that it's going to change their life. And when I have this sort of belief, I don't feel sleazy or salesy, or I don't feel like a car yard salesperson. I just know it's going to change your life. I have no doubt about that in my mind. And when you have that belief in your products or the services that you're providing to people, it's impossible for you to feel sleazy or like a sleazy saleswoman or whatever it is. So getting people to really have that bigger picture and think about, in 10 years time, how is this still going to be impacting this person's life? I absolutely love that, because it really can just put it into perspective for people, like how their products and services really can actually make such a positive impact for the world. I love it.
It's so true. And I love like the key thing that came through there was excitement. Like you're excited, that energy is what sells anyway, right? Like that, when you're showing up from that space rather than doubting what it is that you're selling. So like get into the energy of excitement and trust and like passion about it. And that will be so powerful in attracting people that are really aligned for your work.
Yeah, I always tell like people that I work with and my clients, I always say to them, just go into a sales call with the expectation that it's possibly not going to work, but you're just explaining to them how amazing this product is. Like, just share with them how absolutely amazing this product or service is, going with no expectations at all. And that way they'll be able to feel your authenticity and feel how passionate you are about what you're doing. And then they're probably going to say yes anyway, because they can feel your energy. Whereas when you go in with the expectation that you need them to buy and they have to buy this, or I need the money, it just creates such a different sense of energy in the way that you come off, in the way that you speak, in the way that you're like helping them try to solve their problems a little bit on the call. Whatever you're doing on the call, it's such a different energy saying, I need this because I need money or I need a sale, versus I'm just going to explain to them how amazing this product and service is. It's completely different.
So true. Just speak from the heart and remember that you are abundant already. Like, outside of money, we are all abundant. That's our energy and our nature. And like showing up from that space is really powerful, because it's like moving away, as you said, from I need to like, I already am everything. I'm fully supported. I'm fine. I trust. And I'm just going to speak from the heart and share my excitement.
I love that. Jenna, this episode has been absolutely amazing so far. If people want to learn more about how they can work with you, what have you got going on at the moment? Like, where can people find you? Can you share a little bit with the audience as to how they can learn further from you?
Yeah, definitely. So my website is jennablack.co. So come and say hi. I've got a bunch of different programs on there. One being Spiritual Selling Queen, if that was speaking to you. That's all about mastering selling with soul. And then my signature program is Money Queen, if you want to dive into money mindset, abundance, manifestation. And then come and send me a message on Instagram, or follow me on Instagram at jennablack.official. I'm always hanging out there. So I always love to chat and in DMs about, you know, people that listen to a podcast interview or something like that. So come and say hi.
Hey, amazing. Well, you heard it, guys. Go and check her out on Instagram. Go and check out her courses. They sound amazing. If you enjoyed the episode, please make sure to tag us, take a screenshot, and tag us on Instagram so that we can know that you enjoyed it. And until the next episode, guys, thank you so much, and I'll see you later. Bye.